The story around the Cleveland Browns changed in a single interview. One former NFL player, Ross Tucker, said something no analyst has dared to say all season, and it exposed a truth that has been hiding in plain sight. For months, the debate around Shedeur Sanders was simple. Was he ready? Or was he just another inexperienced rookie who needed time to grow? But Tucker's comments did more than answer that question. They revealed the Browns were capable of developing him faster than anyone expected, and that their coaching decisions may have held him back. This wasn't a hot take or some social media debate. This was the guy who called Shedeur's first NFL start. A veteran who has been around quarterbacks for decades, from locker rooms to broadcast booths. And even he admitted he didn't think Shedeur would improve that fast. Not after being buried on the depth chart, not after months without proper reps, not after spending the start of the season as a backup and an afterthought. The Browns fixed Shedeur's biggest weakness in a single week. 1 week. They cleaned up his pocket movement, reduced the panic rollouts, and built a game plan that actually fit his skills. And what happened? The offense suddenly looked prepared. The offensive line played its best game of the year. Veteran receivers and linemen trusted him immediately. A player who hadn't been given first-team reps for 6 months walked onto the field and played with the confidence of someone who'd been there for years. It wasn't just a good debut. It was a debut that changed the conversation around him and around this franchise. Because if the Browns could help him make that kind of leap in 7 days, fans are now asking the same question Ross Tucker did without even saying it outright. Why didn't the coaching staff give him that chance sooner? And what happens next could determine the future of Cleveland football. Ross Tucker didn't just grade Shedeur Sanders' first NFL start. He reshaped the whole conversation. Before kickoff, the national debate was simple. Was Shedeur really ready, or was he another rookie the Browns were rushing into action? Tucker made it clear that he expected improvement, but even he didn't expect what came next. He admitted that Shedeur played better than he thought he would, and the surprise in his voice told you everything. This wasn't a scripted compliment or a casual observation. It was genuine disbelief from someone who studies quarterbacks for a living. What caught Tucker off guard wasn't the stat line. It wasn't the touchdown pass or the highlight throws. It was the maturity and confidence that came out of nowhere. He pointed out something every Browns fan noticed, but didn't want to say out loud. Shedeur was thrown into the Ravens game without preparation, without first-team reps, and without a game plan designed for him. Yet when he finally got a week to prepare, something changed instantly. He moved in the pocket like a veteran, stepped into throws, and played with an understanding of the moment that veterans struggle with. That surprised Tucker more than the arm strength or the big plays. He said it himself. There was a mental shift in just 7 days that most young quarterbacks don't make in half a season. He didn't just survive his debut. He controlled the game, trusted his reads, and kept the offense moving when it mattered. Tucker has been around this league long enough to know the difference between luck and growth. And the more he talked, the more obvious it became that even he wasn't prepared to see that kind of improvement so fast. The guy calling the broadcast came away impressed, and that's when you realize something deeper was happening behind the scenes. This wasn't just a good first start. It was a start that exposed the truth. Shedeur wasn't the one who needed more time. It was the Browns who waited too long to unleash him. The moment Ross Tucker said the Browns fixed Shedeur's biggest flaw in 1 week, everything changed. Because for 6 months, the narrative was the same. Shedeur wasn't ready. He needed time. He needed development. He needed to sit behind other quarterbacks and learn. Then Tucker explained what actually happened before his first start, and suddenly it became clear that the Browns weren't waiting for Shedeur to improve. He simply wasn't given the chance. Flat out said it. The coaching staff corrected Shedeur's pocket movement in just 7 days. That was the issue everyone pointed to in college. Rolling out too early, bailing when pressure came, trusting his legs more than his reads. But 1 week of real coaching and real reps fixed it. And that raises one unavoidable question. If the Browns could improve his game that quickly, why didn't they do it sooner? That's not just a coaching detail. That's a decision that affected the entire season. While Shedeur sat behind Dillon Gabriel and ran scout team drills, the coaches already had the tools to help him take the next step. They just didn't use them. And when he finally got the chance, look what happened. His footwork sharpened, his timing improved, his confidence in the pocket looked like someone who'd been preparing for months, not a week. Tucker wasn't guessing. He talked to the offensive line. He talked to coaches. He talked to Shedeur. Everyone knew the adjustment needed to happen. And when the Browns committed to it, the change was immediate. No long transition. No painful learning curve. Just results. That single week exposed something deeper about Shedeur. He's not a project. He's not a developmental quarterback who needs to sit for a season. He's someone who elevates when he's actually given the opportunity. And what makes Tucker's words hit even harder is this simple truth. The coaching staff could have done this months ago. They had the solution. They just never unlocked it. And that realization is where the story takes its first major turn. Once the Browns finally adjusted their approach, Shedeur didn't just look comfortable. He looked like someone who had been preparing for this moment his entire life. Ross Tucker pointed out the plays that proved it. Not routine completions, not checkdowns. The kind of throws that separate young quarterbacks from the ones who never figure it out. The pass to Jerry Jeudy was the first turning point. Tucker expected a quick throw underneath, the kind most rookies rely on when things get hectic. Instead, Shedeur held his ground, waited out the play, and found Jeudy wide open downfield. That's not improvisation. That's awareness. That's a quarterback who trusts his progressions and refuses to rush a decision. Then came the throw to Isaiah Bond. Shedeur rolled to his right, pressure closing fast, and delivered a perfect 52-yard strike while getting crushed by the defense. That single play showed more than arm talent. It showed anticipation, poise, and the ability to attack a defense that dared to sit back in coverage. Tucker said it best. Those were throws Dillon Gabriel never made during his time as the starter. And that's not an insult. It's a confirmation that Shedeur brings something different to the offense. It wasn't just his arm. It was command. You can see it in the way the offensive line protected him, the way receivers finished routes harder, and the way the entire roster responded to him leading the huddle. That isn't a coincidence. That's a sign of belief. For 6 months, Shedeur was talked about like a question mark. Yet the moment he stepped into the starting role, he played like the answer. What impressed Tucker wasn't just one highlight or one good drive. It was the consistency of Shedeur's composure. No panic, no hesitation, no rookie jitters. He looked like he belonged, and everyone watching saw it. And that's where the discussion shifts from potential. Proof, because this was the first glimpse of what he can be when the Browns actually build around him. The most revealing part of the interview wasn't even the throws Tucker talked about. It was what he learned about Shedeur off the field. Tucker explained that when he spoke with Shedeur before the game, there was no sense of panic or uncertainty. There was no rookie fear in his voice. What he heard instead was a quarterback who understood exactly how big the moment was and refused to back away from it. Shedeur admitted he was cramming film like a quarterback preparing for an exam. Not because he wanted to sound dedicated, and not because someone told him to say the right things. It was because he knew this was his window and that he didn't have time to wait for the perfect situation. He told Tucker, "I don't have a choice. This is my opportunity." That one sentence spoke louder than anything he did on the field. It showed maturity and self-awareness, traits most rookies don't develop until their second or third year. Tucker noticed the difference. He said Shedeur wanted the responsibility. He wanted the pressure. He wasn't interested in excuses. And when he stepped into that huddle, The locker room followed that mentality. The offensive line promised to protect him if he stepped up. Receivers trusted his placement. Veteran leaders treated him like someone who had earned it, not someone who was temporarily filling in. Reports suggest the players felt his confidence shift the building in a way the other quarterbacks never did. That doesn't guarantee future success, but it shows something coaches can't teach: presence. Some quarterbacks need years to gain respect. Shedeur earned it in a week. That's why his first start looked different. It wasn't just the coaching adjustments. It wasn't just the game plan. It was the mindset he brought into the moment. Shedeur didn't treat that start like a trial run or a temporary assignment. He treated it like the beginning of his career. And when a rookie walks into the NFL with that mindset, the entire locker room feels it. The Browns didn't just discover a new quarterback. They discovered a leader who wasn't waiting for permission to take control. The biggest question hanging over this story isn't about Shedeur's mechanics or arm strength. It's the one Ross Tucker's comments accidentally brought back into the spotlight. If the Browns could unlock his potential in 1 week, why did Kevin Stefanski wait so long to give him a real opportunity? Nobody outside the building has the full answer, but the theories have been circulating for months, and Tucker's breakdown poured fuel on the fire. Some fans believe the coaching staff simply didn't think Shedeur was ready. Others think they were committed to Dillon Gabriel because he fit the system more cleanly. And then there's the more complicated possibility. Maybe the coaching staff was hesitant to deal with the attention and pressure that comes with starting Deion Sanders' son. It's impossible to know which of these theories is true. But Tucker's words suggested that the coaches clearly had the ability to fix Shedeur's flaws earlier. They just didn't. Even Tucker sounded puzzled when he talked about it. He pointed out that Shedeur's weaknesses were known long before he arrived in Cleveland. They were obvious on film. They were mentioned in scouting reports, and the team still waited until the middle of the season to correct them. That has led many people to wonder if the Browns were prepared for the idea of Shedeur taking over this quickly, or if they were hoping they wouldn't have to make that decision yet. What makes this situation even more fascinating is that the players responded to Shedeur immediately. The offensive line stepped up. Receivers trusted him. The locker room felt different. If a rookie can create that kind of spark after 1 week of preparation, it raises the possibility that the team could have found that spark months ago. None of this proves the coaching staff was wrong or acting out of pride, but it does raise a simple truth that can't be ignored anymore. Shedeur didn't struggle because he wasn't capable. He struggled because he didn't get the chance to grow sooner. And now, after just 1 start, the Browns have to face a reality they weren't planning for. Shedeur is forcing the organization to rethink everything. Now the future of the Browns isn't just about Shedeur's talent anymore. It's about how the organization reacts to what happened. Ross Tucker broke it down into 3 simple possibilities, and each one carries massive consequences. First, if Shedeur keeps playing at this level and keeps improving, there won't even be a debate. He becomes the clear starter. That's it, and the Browns build around him. Second, he plays well, but not well enough to silence every doubt. That's when the front office brings in competition and lets him fight for the job. And the third scenario is the one nobody in Cleveland wants to hear. He fails to show progress, and the franchise goes after another quarterback in the offseason. But here's the twist, Tucker pointed out. Winning solves everything. The more Shedeur wins, the harder it becomes for the Browns to replace him. If he keeps stacking victories and Cleveland ends the season around .500, they won't have access to the top draft picks needed to chase a big-name quarterback anyway. Suddenly, every drive becomes more than just a possession. Every game becomes a referendum on the future. Every mistake and every highlight changes the trajectory of the franchise. And that's where the excitement begins. Because this isn't a typical rookie storyline. Shedeur isn't being groomed over years. He's being evaluated in real time under real pressure against real expectations. He doesn't need to be perfect. He just needs to show progress week after week. Tucker said it himself. If the Browns see steady growth, they'll start imagining what he looks like with a full offseason and a roster built around his strengths. So now, it isn't just about whether Shedeur belongs in the NFL. It's about what happens if he keeps proving the coaches wrong. It's about the possibility that the Browns accidentally discovered their future quarterback while trying not to start him at all. And if he keeps winning at this pace, he won't just earn the job. He'll force the Browns to rethink everything they believed about him. In the end, Ross Tucker's comments did more than praise Shedeur's debut. They exposed a deeper truth about the Browns. This wasn't just a rookie quarterback stepping in and ... surviving. This was a player who walked into the moment with confidence, fixed major flaws in a single week, and changed the entire energy of the offense. For 6 months, the question was whether Shedeur was ready. After one start, it feels like the real question is why the Browns waited so long to let him lead. Tucker didn't sugarcoat anything. He acknowledged the mistakes, the things Shedeur still needs to grow through, and the challenges he's going to face. But he also showed us that the potential people doubted for months is very real. When he got proper preparation, coaching, and trust from the veterans, the improvement was instant. That's not luck. That's talent meeting opportunity. There's still a long season ahead. There will be rough games. There will be pressure. And there will be people waiting to call him overhyped the moment he slips. But the most important takeaway from this interview is simple. Shedeur isn't fighting to prove he belongs in the NFL anymore. Now he's fighting to prove the Browns shouldn't have kept him waiting. Because what happened against the Raiders wasn't an accident. It was a preview, a look at what he can be with real support. He showed leadership, poise, and maturity that goes beyond a first start. He showed the ability to change the offense and elevate the players around him. And he showed that he's capable of becoming the quarterback this franchise has been searching for. Ross Tucker walked away from that game believing Shedeur has something special. His teammates felt it, fans felt it, and the league is starting to take notice. The Browns didn't just find a quarterback. They found someone who might become the face of the franchise. Now, the only question left is whether the coaching staff is willing to embrace the breakthrough they had been avoiding. Because Shedeur already proved one thing. He was ready the whole time.